Welcome into the Main Street Maury High School football preview show for round one of the playoffs, or week 12, if you're into that. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Chris Yao. We have 5 games in the Main Street Maury coverage area this weekend that we're going to be talking about. A 6th team is in the playoffs, but because of the wonders of Division II, Columbia Academy is off this week. And
gotta love that. If you're Columbia Academy,
do you though?
I don't know.
Because it goes back to what we used to talk about back during COVID: rest versus rust.
Yeah, but 1 week though. 1 week, I feel like you can.
1 week this time of year is probably a good thing, but
it's also the second week in less than a month.
And the way Columbia Academy's playing right now, do you want to be off?
Yeah, they are certainly on a roll and certainly looking great against Grace Christian in that region championship game that they won last week. Got to give them props, and props to Monte Baldwin for having such a great year and being named a Mr. Football semifinalist.
One of two.
One of two in our area.
We'll be talking about the other one here soon.
So yeah, it's pretty. I feel like you gotta take it as a positive.
Well, you have to. I mean, you have to build it as a positive. You have to find all the positive aspects of it. But at the same time, again, they're on a roll right now.
It hasn't. I mean, obviously, the best teams are going to rise to the occasion and rise to the top. But it hasn't seemed to to be much of an issue for Division II teams who get that bye in the past. So you kind of hope that Columbia Academy can continue that trend, to say.
I wonder if Seth Anderson and some of his staff will be making the trip
100%
Friday night to Jackson Christian to see the Battle of the Birds.
Oh, yeah.
The Jackson Christian Eagles taking on the Ezel Harding Eagles in the opening round of the D2A state playoffs. And now CA has some familiarity with Jackson Christian, having been eliminated by them last year.
Yeah. So JCA is obviously a team that they've been that's been on their radar for a year. And, much like Grace Christian and Clarksville Academy. So, I mean, this has kind of been a revenge tour for Seth and that team. So, this playoff system is interesting in D2. I think it's unfortunate for them that they are the only number 1 seed who could potentially see a 2 seed in the second round. Everyone else would see a 3 or a 4.
That's pretty wild.
That's unfortunate. Somebody's got to get that short straw, and it just happens
because there's
CA.
3 regions.
Yeah, it just happens to be CA this time, but it is kind of unfortunate for them.
It is. Okay. Enough talk about a team that's not playing Friday.
Yeah, we got plenty of who wants, so let's go for that.
Absolutely. In Class 2A of Division I, Loretto, one of 3, I think, unbeaten teams in this Class 2A bracket. York Institute is 10-0. Marion County is 10-0.
Both of those are in the East, though, right?
Yes, that is correct.
So the only team that could possibly get to Chattanooga from the west side of the bracket would be Loretto.
Yeah. So
should be fun.
The Mustangs taking on perennial Class 1A power Peabody. The number 4 team out of Region 6 2A, they come in at 4-6, do the Golden Tide.
But have won a state championship in the last, 2 years? They won it 2 years ago?
2 or 3.
Whenever it was, 75 degrees, I think they were.
Yeah, I think it was their last year in 1A that they won it. And then they bumped up. And they've struggled a little bit this year. Peabody has given up 40 plus in 6 different games, including their last 2 of the year, both losses.
That's right.
And scored 14 or less 6 times.
That does not bode well against a team like Loretto, who can put up points in bunches.
37.6 per game over this 10-0 campaign. The Mustangs have scored.
It's impressive.
56
Last week. Yeah, and they needed all of them, too.
They needed all 50, well, at least 53 of
Yeah,
them.
they needed 53 of them.
They needed 53 of them to get past Mount Pleasant at Mount Pleasant, 56-52. So, it's almost impossible to talk about this team without talking about this offense, and specifically the job that Mason Tidwell has done at quarterback.
Yeah.
You
can't overstate how important he obviously is, stepping in midway through the season and
for a senior
and pretending that nothing changed, because it may have actually.
I don't know that he was pretending.
Well, I mean, he didn't have to. Some other folks may have had to, were probably having to convince themselves, but it didn't take long for him to convince them.
Yeah. He's thrown for 1,000 yards, more than 1,000 yards in just 8 games. And that trio of receivers, Corbin Reynolds, Jack Welch, Clint Seymour, I think all 3 of them scored in the win against Mount Pleasant.
That's where Loretto really makes you pay, is because you can't focus on one guy. If you think you can stop Clint Seymour, well, Jack Welch is right there. You want to stop Jack Welch, that's too bad. You get Corbin Reynolds to worry about.
And what's crazy about all 3 of those guys at this level, they are physical receivers. They're not 6'2", 175 or whatever. I mean, they are guys that bring a load. I mean, they break tackles and that kind of thing.
They're very Titan-like. They can catch the ball over the middle. They're not afraid to to mix it up on blocking even for those running backs. I mean, it's just they're very, very similar to what a Mike Vrabel receiver would look like.
Yeah, their yards after contact pretty impressive.
It really is.
And you talk about those running backs, Jaden Schultz and Nicholas McDowell combined 1,500 plus rushing yards.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
So, I mean, again, you can't focus on one guy.
Nope.
And, Peabody has their work cut out for them this weekend.
Yeah, no question.
The winner of that game will play the winner of this game as Mount Pleasant travels to Decatur County Riverside in a matchup of 8-2 teams. Mount Pleasant, the number 3 seed out of Region 5 2A, Riverside, the 2 seed out of 6 2A, and reigning, do you defend a runner-up?
Well, reigning West bracket champion.
Okay.
Call it that. I don't know.
Okay. Because everybody gets a trophy, right?
Well, yeah. I get it. But yeah, coming off a state championship performance and had to have every single yard and point that they could get last year against this Mount Pleasant team. Of course,
at Mount Pleasant.
Here at Mount Pleasant, things go a little differently. Maybe in Parsons.
It should be interesting. Yeah. Riverside in the second round last year won 18-13 at Mount Pleasant on their way to the Class 2A state championship game, where they lost to local favorite Chattanooga Tyner. So interested to see what the Panthers do in the run game, because last year junior running back Desmond Thomas carried 47 times for 251 yards.
Yeah, Mount Pleasant struggled to stop that.
He's a load.
And he's back because
he is
a junior last year. So.
Yes, he is back. Riverside's losses are to Huntingdon, their region champion,
there.
None, and Collierville.
6A Collierville.
6A Collierville. Yes, exactly.
Biggest school in the state, Collierville.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's this Riverside team has experience. They know how to win. They know what it takes to get to Chattanooga. They have a solid coaching staff, a great running game, and the issue that Mount Pleasant has is their ability to score quickly could put their defense in even more of a difficult situation. So I'm curious how that, how Kit Hartsfield plays, ball control versus, putting points up. Because last year they only scored 13 points, and they're going to need more than that Friday night to win the game. Now, that being said, they've certainly increased their offensive production in 2023 over 2022. So this could be a really interesting football game.
Yeah. You have a couple. You mentioned Mr. Football.
I did.
You got two of them on the field in this ball game.
That's right.
Riverside Stone Wallace and Mount Pleasant's Darian Meza.
Darian Meza, who's scored 18 times this year, has been fantastic for Mount Pleasant. If Riverside thinks that they can kick to him, good luck. I wouldn't.
I think Riverside will probably be paying a lot of attention to that Loretto film because he never got the ball in a position where he could score in the special teams game. Now, he did score a couple of touchdowns.
That's what I said.
Receiving.
They weren't going to kick to him. And they didn't have to kick a whole lot.
No.
Kickoff. So.
Yeah. So it's Darian Meza is a game breaker. 885 receiving yards plus everything he's done in the return game as well.
And 200 plus yards on the ground.
Yeah. And quarterback Nick Brown, almost 1,800 offensive yards, 22 total touchdowns. And he's typically looking for Meza, but Caden Davis on the other side can make some plays in the passing game. Jakari McClure had a huge night on the ground against Loretto.
Probably the key to this game is Jakari
Could
McClure.
very well be. So,
before we get out of that, let's take a look on the other side of that quarterfinal bracket because Milan and Lewis County is a very intriguing game.
It's a very intriguing game because one of the Milan assistants is going back to a stadium that his name is on.
That's correct. We'll be coaching from the opposite side in a stadium that bears his name.
He will be facing the press box that says Bobby Sharp Stadium.
How weird is that?
I mean, going back to the house that you built.
And not just the house that you built, but I mean, they named the field and the stadium after you, and it's just, it's got to be odd.
It's got to be odd for everybody.
Everybody.
For Lewis County, for Milan, we thought you were gone, bro.
And then you're back, but you're over there. What's happening?
Yeah, and you're trying to end our season.
So I just thought that was an interesting tidbit. And then, of course, Waverly and Huntington is a really good matchup. 5 of these 8 teams are either ranked or receiving votes in the AP Top 10 final poll. 5
of the 8 in this quarterfinal bracket.
Nobody has, outside of Peabody, everyone is 7-3 or better. This may be the most competitive and difficult quarterfinal bracket.
So what you're telling me is the state champion is going to come out of this quarterfinal bracket?
I don't know. I mean, the other side is really good, but yeah, you would be hard pressed to find somebody. I mean, York Institute has been really good this year.
York Institute really got my attention with that 8-7 win at Friendship Christian back in like week 9, I think.
And so I think they've been really good, but and Marion County is always 10-0. But the problem is that are you so beat up after having to win this quarterfinal bracket that you struggle to get through to the state finals? I think that could be a possibility too. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to watch. I can't wait.
It most definitely is going to be interesting to watch. Let's take a break right here. Come back and tell you about the other 3 games involving area teams for us, and then we'll tell you who we think is going to win them. Stay tuned.
Since 1975, Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic has treated the orthopedic needs of Middle Tennessee residents. The trained physicians provide surgical options and minimally invasive options to treat all orthopedic needs. The walk-in clinic, OrthoQuick, helps you bypass the ER while treating sports injuries and acute needs Monday through Saturday. Visit MTBJ online at mtbj.net or on social media at Mid-Tennessee Bone Joint Clinic.
He shoots, and he scores!
don't.
Welcome back to the Main Street Maury High School Football Preview Show for round one of the playoffs. That's Chris Yao. I'm Maurice Patton in Class 5A. CCHS goes to CCCHS as Columbia Central takes their 7-3 record on the road to Centennial up in Cool Springs. And I'm intrigued by this ball game because Central is the number 3 seed coming out of Region 5-5A. Centennial could have been the champion, wound up the number 2 seed, got a home game. 8-2 again, the Cougars are, and they have really had a fantastic year under first-year coach Jamal Stewart. A battle of 2 first-year coaches. Now, Jamal had a lot of success at East Nashville before he took over at Centennial. Tredarius Goff, this is his rookie year.
Yeah, as a coach, certainly. But both know what it takes to get to the state championship game. They've both done it. One as a player, one as a coach.
Centennial's 2 losses are to Brentwood in 6A, who's undefeated, and to Page, who's 9-1. So they've been tested through that region and through that schedule that they played.
Yeah, there's no question that that region is very difficult, and they played a very difficult schedule. You add in Independence, who's in the Class 6A state playoffs. You talk about undefeated Brentwood, who, many think is, one of the best teams in Class 6A on the western side of the bracket. It's going to be a tough matchup for Columbia Central. They, speaking of Mr. Football semifinalists, Centennial has one as well.
Dominic Reed.
Dominic Reed has been, and I saw him against Independence, just an absolute force on the offensive side of the football. Anytime he's got the football in his hands, he's a threat to go for 6. And you have to be very, very careful about focusing on him because they've got 2 or 3 other guys who can make you pay, both in the running game and in the passing game. So this one obviously is going to be, it's any of the 2-3 matchups you're going to, you expect a really good football game. And this is going to be one that I'm very interested to see.
Dominic Reed is a baller. So is Caden McCoy. 1,446 rushing yards, 19 touchdowns. He is approaching
108. Is he 108? 108 away from the career record?
No. He's 214 from the single season record.
108 from career. I am almost certain that I was asked yesterday if I thought he could get there.
I'm not sure I know what the career record is. I don't know what his career numbers are.
Gotcha.
So
okay. I'm pretty sure he's around 100 yards away.
Yeah, I think he's closer to the career than to the single season. But he is approaching some numbers that only one other person at Columbia Central has reached and may have to get them.
If they're going to win, he's going to have to do it. Because that offense runs through too.
Absolutely. Jordan Davis on the edge can make some plays. I'm interested to see if they incorporate him more into the run game this week.
I think if you want to stretch the defense, you're either going to have to incorporate him into the run game or throw some perimeter passes to him and force the outside linebackers to stretch a little bit.
You've got to do something to get them out of the box against 2.
And parents and fans sometimes hate that. It's like, why are we doing that? Why are we doing that? It's not about trying to score on that play. It's about trying to set up a play you can score on.
And
so you have to remember that when you're watching the games. Those screenplays suck. Watching them, they're like, why are we? We're losing a yard or we're getting maybe a yard or 2, and it just doesn't seem like it's doing us any good. But it does in the long run.
Well, and I will say this. Not every screenplay sucks because I love the tunnel screen, the inside screen.
Oh, I'm talking about the perimeter screen. That, you're hoping that your slot wide receiver can can make a block.
Mm-hmm.
And he's usually 5'6", 155 pounds, and he's got to get out on a cornerback, and it's just the whole thing. And you're like, hey, can we not do that?
Yeah,
but yeah, it's in order to set up Caden McCoy to hit that that A gap, B gap, slice for a touchdown, and he's capable of doing it. On
He is, and if you're behind him, you're not going to catch it.
No, you're not.
But this one may hinge on this central defense with Jaravius Hall and Malik Smith and coverage and pressure on a guy that they have some familiarity with.
Yeah, Elisha Nieves, who has spent some time here in Maury County, first-year quarterback for Centennial, has had a really good year, completes nearly 80% of his passes, but he is prone to turn the ball over.
9 picks.
9 picks, only 14 touchdowns. So and he's going to take shots. He's going to take his
Right.
shots.
He likes the deep ball.
He likes the deep. And with Dominic Reed, why would you not? I mean, it makes it a little easier to throw it if you trust Dominic Reed, and you should. But you got 7 in the back. Jordan Davis in the defensive backfield. He can place in.
That'll be an interesting matchup because I feel like he and Dominic Reed will be matched up.
He can go get it, and then you've got Justice Haggard, who plays center field a little bit as safety, who can also make plays in the defensive backfield. So I'll be interested to see how this one goes. One of my favorite matchups of the week.
Yeah, in 6A, stop us if you've heard this. Independence goes to Smyrna. Now, it's the first time in 4 years.
It is the first time in 4 years.
But they went
4 years?
They went 17, 18, and 19.
It's been 4 years since, geez, don't remind me.
Because in 20, they went to Laverne.
That's right.
21 and 22, they were going west to Memphis. So we meet again.
Yeah, and Smyrna watching that Summit Independence game going, are you kidding me right now? Again,
we got these
They're
guys.
back?
Because Independence is 5-5. Smyrna won Region 6A. No.
Yeah.
Region 5, 6A. Because Independence is in 6.
That's right.
Yeah. Smyrna won Region 5, 6A, 6-4 overall. Independence is 5-5, the number 4 team out of 6-5A. But each time Independence has gone to Smyrna in the opening round of the playoffs, Independence has extended its season and ended Smyrna's. So that's why the Bulldogs may not necessarily be happy to see the Eagles flying into town Friday night.
Now, because I didn't get a chance to see the game, unfortunately, I thought Independence Summit Border Battle, always a great game, but with Luke McNeely coming off of missing a game or 2, maybe I'm not sure if it was a game or
Just
2,
one.
but was unable to get his legs, and so will he be back to normal this week? And if he is, Smyrna's going to have trouble. But if he's not, the Bulldogs have an opportunity to win this one.
Smyrna has won 6 straight after an 0-4 start.
0-4, yeah.
So they've got some confidence working. Summit goes on the road. The Spartans 4-6, the number 3 seed out of Region 6-5A, goes to 5-6A runner-up Antioch. The Bears also 4-6. Non-region schedule was pretty tough for Antioch. 4 of their opponents went to.
It's me. It's tickling my. There we go. I'm good now.
4 Antioch opponents went to are in the postseason, so they've been tested, and they stopped a 3-game slide by defeating Laverne in Week 11 to nail down the number 2 spot. They've got a Summit team coming in that's kind of surging.
Just like I was going to say, just like Smyrna, kind of started off slow, found their groove. I think they finally found their offense and got a little confidence about midway through the season. Of course, their non-conference schedule was tough too.
Absolutely. Summit comes in. They've won 2 of their last 3. They won at Overton. They defeated Independence, and their loss was a 17-14 loss at Nolensville. So, again, coming in with some confidence. Junior quarterback Mason McElhaney has rushed for over 1,000 yards, and Dominic Hollis is always a threat. So This should be interesting.
This will be a game that everybody's kind of paying attention to because, Summit, like you said, is surging. I don't think anybody expected Summit to be in the 3-hole 4 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I'd agree.
pretty impressive job by Brian Coleman in that group.
By the way, the winner of this Summit Antioch game will play Cane Ridge Brentwood in round 2. The winner of Smyrna Independence will play Ravenwood Stewart's Creek in week 2, and dropping back to 5A, the Columbia Central Centennial winner will play Shelbyville Hillsborough in round 2. And Columbia Central might not mind another shot at Shelbyville.
They want that one. They are hoping to see the Golden Eagles again.
I mean, they're certainly not looking past the Cougars, but they wouldn't mind seeing Shelbyville again, assuming Shelbyville gets by Hillsborough.
There's that. So
stay tuned. We'll give you our thoughts on who's going to win tomorrow night when we come back.
I'm so excited about this new show.
Dino Trek is back again this year. It's bigger than we've ever had it before.
When they're about 5 months old, we'll start to see them sticking their head out of the pouch, or you might see a foot come out or a tail.
It's like an Airbnb for Joey's. Now, you're not going to see all 3 of them together because cats in general don't get along unless it's time to get along, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Hey, final segment of the Main Street Maury High School Football Preview Show, the opening round of the playoffs. Chris, let's give them some picks. Peabody at Loretto.
Got Loretto.
I think that's a pretty safe pick. Not so safe. Mount Pleasant at Riverside.
Man, I don't know. I'm going to go Mount Pleasant. I think that the revenge tour is going to start here.
I got a feeling, man. They scored 52 last week. I think they're going to keep up some of that offensive momentum. I think they feel a little more comfortable going against this Riverside team this time around. I like Mount Pleasant. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair, though.
See, I think Mount Pleasant's going to score a bunch. I don't know about Riverside.
I think they're going to score 2.
So we'll see.
Yeah. Columbia Central at Centennial.
Also going to be a high-scoring affair, I feel like. And I'm going to go with the extra C. Give me Centennial CCCHS.
Yeah. I'm not sure how high-scoring it's going to be, particularly on Columbia Central's side. I feel like Centennial can score more consistently than Central, and I'm going with the host Cougars in this one. Independence at Smyrna?
It's really hard to pick against Independence in this game. I mean, there's just
in this game in particular.
It's hard to pick against the Eagles, so give them to me.
Yeah, I mean, 0-3 for Smyrna.
None of these kids have played Independence, though.
There's that. It's
been 4 years.
It's still tough.
Yeah.
It's tough to pick against Independence in this game.
Exactly.
Summit at Antioch.
Man, Summit's on a roll. Antioch, gets the win last week to get to host this one, but give me the Spartans.
I think
and give me a Region 6A sweep.
I don't. Yeah.
I mean,
I don't really see any reason for that not to be the case. Give me Summit as well in this one. You will be at Independence Smyrna, tweeting from at Chris Lowe 14, Chris Yao 14. I'm sorry.
Dang, I wish I was Chris Lowe.
No, you don't. I will be at Columbia Central and Centennial, 7 minutes from the house. You can follow me at @Patton_sports. We will also have coverage from Loretto and from Antioch at MS_sports today.